Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. I know this is a very strange time for me to go live. I did not have to be at church early, so I was sitting out here on my front porch doing some reading before we leave, and I thought, I'm just going to hop on now, and maybe you guys can listen to this whenever it's convenient for you. So for our Summer in the Psalms today, we are reading Psalms 70, 71, and 72, I think. And I just wanted to share with you a short little prayer from Psalm 71. And one of my favorite things to do is take a verse and make it like my focus, my prayer for the day. So like maybe a phrase, maybe a verse, and as you repeat it, as you pray it, as you speak it through the day, I find that you end up having it by memory. It's in your heart. So write it down, read it, speak it. And this is such a good one because it's easy to memorize. And it's something that I think we all need, but maybe we don't realize we need it. So the very, very first verse, and it's even just part of the verse in Psalm 71 says, "In you, O Lord, I put my trust." So most of us would say, without a doubt, I trust the Lord. I trust God. But do our actions, do our thoughts, do our words prove that belief to be true? I think probably not always. I think sometimes we try to fix it on our own, or we think that maybe his plan isn't really what you had hoped for, and therefore you don't necessarily trust that it's going to all work for good, even though his word tells us that. So I think sometimes it's up here, but it's harder to get it here. Anybody else? So if we can speak the truth, it's kind of like an affirmation, a scriptural affirmation. We're going to keep speaking it till we believe it. Does that make sense? So it's kind of like fake it till you make it, but it's a better way of doing it because it's scripture. So in you, O Lord, I put my trust. In those moments where you don't know what's happening, in those moments where you're struggling to find hope, in those moments where you're hurt, lonely, fearful, whatever your struggle is in the moment, what if we could train our minds in that moment? And I do believe the longer we do this, the quicker it will get. You know, if we go all day and we don't do it, it's not going to help us, right? But his word is alive and powerful. So if we can train our minds to speak the truth, to meditate on the truth, to memorize it, to have it, it's going to go from here to here, right? So in those moments, whatever your struggle, whatever your doubt, whatever you're facing, speak the words of Psalm 71. In you, O Lord, I put my trust. And it's not that you're saying, oh yeah, I trust the Lord. I have it all together. I don't ever not trust him. It's more that you're declaring it until you believe it, right? We're human. And I think that's what David did all throughout the Psalms. We see the Psalms start in his despair and the enemy's running after him and the battle is fierce. And then halfway through the Psalm, he will say, but God, I turn to you. But you, O Lord, are my salvation. But you, O Lord, are my deliverance. And I love that we see his heart there, his humanity, because we see him in his despair. And then we see him several verses later. There's so many Psalms that do this. I love it. It's one of my favorite things about the Psalm. Halfway through the Psalm, we see him turn his focus back to God. So in those moments, when all you can see is the problem, when all you can see is your circumstance, when all you can see is your failure or what someone else has done, repeat those words. In you, O Lord, I put my trust. And it's like preaching the gospel to your heart. It's like reminding your heart, oh yes, Lord, I do. I trust you. I believe you're sovereign. I believe you've got this. And I believe you're working all things for my good. If you go on There are so many little phrases in Psalm 71 that you could take with you through the day. Verse 8 says, "Let my mouth be filled with your praise and with your glory all the day." That's another thing that David reminds us of all through the Psalms is, what is your mouth filled with? If your mouth is filled with praise, it can't be filled with complaining at the same time, right? Or worry. So if you're going to be speaking, let it be praise. If you're going to be meditating on something, let it be the goodness of God and whatever is true, noble, lovely, right, pure, and admirable. And then verse 14 is where I'm going to finish today. "But I will hope continually and will praise you yet more and more. My mouth shall tell of your righteousness and your salvation all the day. I will go in the strength of the Lord. I will make mention of your righteousness, of yours only. I will go in the strength of the Lord." And how do we walk in his strength? By declaring our trust, by praising, by fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. All right, guys, I hope you have a great Sunday. I'll see you later.